Okay, so we're going to be graphing linear inequalities today. We're going to be graphing them in two different ways. Either if they're already in slope-intercept form, or if we have to put them in slope-intercept form from standard form, which means we're going to be dealing with standard form today, everybody's favorite form. All right, so let's start with looking at them if they are starting out in, be careful where you step there, dude. Okay, you don't wear size 22 shoes, and you do still need to watch where you step. So, let's take a look if they're already in slope-intercept form, how they're going to look, and then what you need to watch out for. So, in slope-intercept form, So, a linear inequality is different from an equation in that instead of having it be equal to, it's going to be greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, greater than or less than. So it'll look like, let's say y is greater than, let's do negative 1/2 x plus 2. So there's two things that you need to keep in mind here. The first thing you need to keep in mind is whether the line is solid or dashed. So line is solid or dashed. And where to shade. And if you guys remember back to when we were doing inequalities with the open and closed circle, and if we were having the arrow point left or right, this is really similar to that. Do you guys remember back then? It was way back in October, November, so I'm sure you've purged your memory bank from that. You've cleared.
I don't even remember what I had for breakfast, and that was like 20 minutes ago.
So you totally cleared those temp files. I'm sure you did, but this is totally something we did, and this is really similar to that. So, first of all, if it's dashed, so if it's greater than or less than with no equal sign, then your line is going to be dashed. Apparently, my handwriting is bad today. I apologize. So if it's greater than or less than with no equal sign underneath it, then you're going to be using a dashed line. If it's greater than or equal to or less than or equal to with a equal sign underneath it, then you're going to be using a solid line. This is similar how way back in October and November when we did the inequalities, if it was less than, it was an open circle, and if it was less than or equal to, it was a closed circle. Do you guys remember that at all? Is it jarring anything loose in that noggin of yours? No? Okay, remember if like we had the answer was like x is greater than 5? On the number line we had 5 here. And then we drew an open circle above 5 if it was x is greater than. And then we had an arrow pointing right. Do you guys remember this at all now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But if it was x is greater than or equal to 5, then we had to fill in that dot. This is similar to that. If it's greater than or less than, the line that we're going to make is going to need to be dashed. And if it's greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, the line we're going to make is going to need to be solid.
Okay.
Yep. Now, let's talk about where to shade here. So first we're going to make this line. So I'm going to make myself a really, really rough, because this is in my notes, I'm going to make a really, really rough xy coordinate plane. So there's my y-axis, and here's my x-axis. And I'm just going to kind of rough in where some of the coordinates are. So I'm going to go up 1, up 2, 3, and 4. Down 1, down 2, down 3, down 4. And then I'm going to go right 1, 2, 3, 4. And then left 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So just kind of roughed in an xy coordinate plane. I'm going to mark my axes here, x and y. Now, I'm going to graph this as if it was a normal line to start. So the first thing I'm going to do is find out where my y-intercept is. And so y, if it were y is equal to negative 1/2 x plus 2, where would be my y-intercept? 2. So I would need to go up 2 first, right? Okay, cool. So I'm going to go up 2. So here's 1, 2. And that's my first dot. You guys remembering this at all? Okay. Now from here, my slope is -1 over 2. So that means I would need to rise -1 and then run, which means, or run +2, which means go right 2. So I'm going to go down 1 and I'm going to go right 2, which would bring me right here. Now I could also do the opposite of that, which means go up 1 and go left 2. Now, this is before I connect these dots. I'm going to put my brain into for low, get some traction, and I'm going to think, does my line need to be dashed or does my line need to be solid? Dashed. So I'm going to take my little super scientific tool that I'm going to use to connect my dots, and I'm going to, instead of drawing a solid line, I'm going to make a dashed line. Now, if you want to, you could draw a solid line and then use an eraser. I am. It shows up better with a pen than it does with a pencil. I don't like doing math with a pen. I hate it. But it shows up better on the camera with a pen. If you want to, you can go back with a pencil and go back through and erase the dashes, and I'd be fine with that. So if you drew it solid and remembered it needed to be dashed, if you're using a pencil, you can go back through and erase the dashes, or if you just want to always draw them solid and then erase it when it's dashed, that's fine too. Okay? Now, so the second part is where to shade. All right. So now, how we're going to choose this is we need to choose a point. So where to shade, question mark. We need to choose a point. So we're going to choose a point that is not on the line. The easiest point to use is going to be 0, 0. So is 0, 0 on this line? Okay, so the line does not go through 0, 0, which means we can use 0, 0. So I'm going to substitute in. So substitute. I always feel like I misspell that word. Substitute in 0, 0, and check. Because this line has essentially created like what's called 2 half planes. It's taking the xy coordinate plane and it's made 2 halves. It's made a half that's down here and a half that's up here. We're going to check 0, 0. And if 0, 0 is correct, then we're going to shade where 0, 0 is. If 0, 0 is wrong, then we're going to shade on the other half, because this is the wrong side, which means this other side is the right side. Okay? I know, this is the part that everybody gets confused on. So just bear with me for a second here, okay?
Aliens.
Yes, aliens, indeed. So I'm going to substitute in 0, 0. Okay. So I'm going to put 0 in for y. In this equation up here, I'm going to rewrite it with 0 in place of y. So I've got 0 is greater than -1/2. In place of x, I'm going to put 0 plus 2. So -1/2 times 0 is 0, and 0 plus 2 is 2. So I'm left with 0 is greater than 2. Is that true or is that false?
True. It's wrong.
It's true, Elijah, that 0 is greater than 2? You sure?
He needs to go back to
No. So this is false. Now, 0, 0 is right here. Okay? And if 0, 0 is not true for this equation, then that means I don't shade where 0, 0 is. Now, if 0, 0 isn't shaded, then where do I shade?
On the other side.
On the other side, on the top. So I'm going to just shade up here. Now, if you want to, I didn't bring them today, but I have some colored pencils I can bring in that you can use to shade these. And actually, colored pencils will make Wednesday's assignment a little more fun. Sure. If you have your own, sure. Okay. So, the full solution here, hold on, Nathan. The full solution here is the line that needs to be dashed, and you need to have it shaded above. All right? Nathan, what's your question here?
So how did you get 2 when you
Because I did negative 1/2 times 0. What's negative 1/2 times 0, Nathan? And what's that plus 2? That's how I got 2. All right? So let's take a look at your assignment. Let's do the first 4 together. You're going to need a piece of graph paper, though, so go ahead and grab a piece of graph paper while I'm handing these out.
Wait, I don't need it. I have like ADP. This confuses my fact to look at. This graph confuses my brain to look at. It's too small.
If I made it smaller, I didn't mean to. I meant to make it the same size. If I made them smaller, I didn't mean to. I meant to make them the same size.
Oh well, they still work.
Yeah. My apologies. Okay. So, I do have the paper upside down, you're right. So, let's take a look at question number 1 here. So, question number 1 and 2 are already in slope-intercept form. So, question number 1 and 2 should be pretty easy to graph. Question number 3 and 4, though, are in standard form. So, as question 3 and 4, you need to put into slope-intercept form before you can graph, as well as needing to graph. So the first thing I do with this graph paper is I put a little mark at the origin just so I know where it is, so I get less confused, because otherwise I think looking at this graph paper can be really confusing. So I put a little mark at the origin just so I get less confused. So y is less than or equal to negative 8x minus 3. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to where? Negative 3. All right. So negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Cool. Now on this graph paper, my slope is negative 8, which means down 8, right 1. I don't have enough room to go down 8 and right 1, do I? No. So instead of going down 8, right 1, what should I do instead? Anybody? Up 8 and left 1. So I'm going to have to count up 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and go left 1. And then I only have room for those 2 points on here. When I connect these, are you guys listening? Yep. When I connect these based on that sign right there, should it be a solid line or should it be a dashed line? Solid. Solid. Thank you, Zach. So I'm going to connect these two with a solid line. Now I'm going to choose a point that the line doesn't go through. It goes really close to 0, 0, but does it go through 0, 0? No. Okay, so I'm going to use 0, 0. If I put 0 in for y, I get 0 less than or equal to negative 8 times 0 minus 3. So I get 0 less than or equal to negative 3, and is that true? No. So this is false. So that means that the side where 0, 0 is, which is over here, does not get shaded. So if I don't shade this side, what side do I shade?
The other side.
I shade this side.
The left side.
So I'm going to shade the left-hand side, which is over here. Darker with my shading so it shows up better on the camera. So that's number 1. Kind of, sorta. So now number 2, we've got y is greater than 1/2 x plus 2. Say it, Nathan. Okay, first I'm going to make a little mark at the origin just so I don't get confused. But yeah, I go up 2. And then what's the slope?
1/2.
Good, thank you for saying right 2. So rise 1, right 2. I'm also going to go down 1, left 2. Now when I connect these, Nathan, should I make it a solid or a dashed line? Good. So I'm going to make a dashy dash line. Dash dash revolution. Dash central 2. Electric boogaloo. Then I need to choose a point that this line doesn't go through that is easy to use in equations. Great. 0, 0. So I can put 0 in for y greater than 1/2 times 0 plus 2. So 0 is greater than 0 plus 2, which is 2. Is that true or is that false? So that means 0 is down here. If I don't shade where 0 is, where do I shade?
On the other side.
On the other side. So I'm going to shade up here. Yeah, you the real MVP.
Great.
It's real shiny. See, this is part of why I don't use pencil when I do notes. I know.
It's called lead.
It looks very.
It's called graphite.
It's real shiny. Okay, shh. Yeah, it's graphite. It's not lead. If it were lead, all you guys would be going crazy right now. Like not figuratively, but literally.
Why?
Like Looney Bin crazy.
What makes you go crazy?
Because lead makes you go crazy.
Really?
Yeah. It's why Van Gogh chopped off his ear.
Who chopped off his ear?
Van Gogh.
Where
Yeah.
the phrase Mad Hatter came.
Yeah, it's where the phrase meant. Well, that's mercury poisoning. It's different. It's similar though. Okay, it's why everybody it's also why everybody in the city of Flint is real mad at the government. Okay, quiet. Now, question number 3. Before we can do question number 3, first thing we got to do is get everything solved for y. So we got to move that x to the other side. Is it a positive x or is it a negative x? So we're going to minus x from both sides. So we're going to have negative y. Don't forget the sign that's in front of the y. This is negative y greater than or equal to negative x plus 0. Now you don't have to have the plus 0 because 0 is just 0. So we could even just erase that if we wanted to, because plus 0 isn't worth anything. Now we're almost there. We have negative y greater than or equal to something. We want it to be plain y, right? So
divide everything by -1.
right, I'm going to divide everything by -1. Now, I don't know if you guys remember this. If you divide an inequality by a negative number, what do you have to do to the sign? Switch it. So this becomes positive y, positive x, but then you have to flip this inequality from being greater than to being less than.
Oh, sorry about that.
I know.
Put an equal sign.
That's why I'm here to remind y'all. So, you will too. I know, it's not easy. That's why I'm going over it with you. So, over here on question number 3, I'm going to mark where 0, 0 is, just so I know where everything is. Now, with this line, I don't have a plus anything at the end, so where do I make my first dot? At 0. Which means also that I can't use 0, 0 as my point to check. It's okay, it's okay. Well, let's see if we can use 1, 1. So from here, what's the slope? 1. So that means from here I'm going to rise and run
Looks like we're using 2, 2. Nope.
I can't use 2, 2.
What?
Can't use negative 1.
One, do zero.
We'll use 1, 2.
Okay, shh, quiet.
I just realized.
Now, am I going to use this solid or a dashed line? Okay. Yeah. Now, there's a bunch of different points we can use that aren't 0, 0 that are relatively easy to use in equations. All right? Michael said 1, 2. We could use that. Elijah said 0, 1. We could use that. Christina just said 1, negative 1. We could use that. All of those are perfectly fine. So any of these points, so like Elijah suggested 0, 1. Michael suggested 1, 2. Christina suggested 1, negative 1. All of those are fine to use. Okay? I'm going to use 0, 1 just because it's got a nice 0 in it. So I'm going to put 0 in for y and 1 in for x. So this would give me, 0 in for x and 1 in for y. So is 1 less than or equal to x? I'm testing the point 0, 1. Is 1 less than or equal to 0? Okay, so I'm testing the point 0, 1, which is right there. So if that point isn't true, 0, 1, that means I don't shade here. So where, yeah, so I shade down here. Now, I could have also tested the equation I started with instead of testing the one that I got. And if you're afraid that you made a mistake with the inequality, I could have jumped up here and used this equation instead. If you're afraid that you might have made a mistake in not switching this inequality, that might be better. Because if you did, if you did 0 minus 1 greater than or equal to 0, so it'd be negative 1 greater than 0, which is false. So then that would mean that you would shade below. Yes?
0, 1 is on the right-hand side.
0, 1 is right there. 1, 0 is on the right-hand side.
It was actually Megan's one moment that I spoke up for.
It happens. I make mistakes like that all the time. I am a super imperfect person. The only problem is, like, when I make those mistakes, I often, like, correct myself before you guys hear it, but I make mistakes like that all the darn time. Okay, so let's look at question number 4. Would anybody like to explain to me how we can solve question number 4 for y? Nathan, really?
Remove the x to the other side, you subtract x.
Okay, so what does that look like after I do that?
That'd be y less than or equal to the
I still
negative
I
x
wrote
plus
these
3.
in my book.
Okay. Do we need to do anything else? No. So then, Elijah, do you want to describe to me y less than or equal to negative x plus 3? How do we graph that?
Plus 3, go up.
I'm trying to speak.
You're trying to speak, okay. While speaking,
Go up 3,
go up 3.
and then go down 1, right 1,
Great.
and then up 1, left 1.
Great. When I connect these, do I connect them with a solid or a dashed line?
Solid.
Okay. Michael, can I use 0, 0 to check? Okay. Now when you use 0, 0, you can use 0, 0 in this equation or the one that we started with. It doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah, what's easier?
Well, you tell me.
The first one.
I would say the first one, because if you're just doing 0 plus 0, what's that?
0.
So is 0 less than or equal to 3, true or false?
Yeah.
True.
So if it's true, then that means that we shade where 0 is, which is down here. Yep. So that's the first 4. These are going to take a little bit of time, which means that I'm going to need to give you guys some time to work on this tomorrow in class. This might end up being a 2-day assignment. This probably should, yeah, this is a 2-day assignment. This is going to be due on Wednesday. So you'll have time to work on this tomorrow in class. I'm not guaranteeing you'll have all day tomorrow in class because we'll probably take some notes tomorrow too. Oh, how it kind of phases out?
Yeah.
When I move
You're
quickly?
coloring and you see it on the screen, it's like,
Yeah, the camera has a really slow refresh rate, so when I do something quick, the camera only catches 1 out of every like 23 movements.
so you can, once it's off and it wouldn't even see it.
If I did it really, really fast, yeah. But I wouldn't do that to you guys. I wouldn't play you like that, Jack.
His high school movie.
I wouldn't play you like that, Jack.